Happy Easter, everybody. Hello, everybody. Good to see you. It's me. It's JT here at Who's Views. It's live at 6. And yes, it's Easter Day. Easter Day, Sunday, the 20th of April, 2025. I hope you're having a lovely day. I really do. I hope you've got lots of chocolate eggs, and I hope you're eating them all and you're feeling slightly ill by now. Hope you've had a lovely lunch as well, or you're going to have an Easter dinner, because it's been a beautiful day across the UK today. Just what Easter's all about, I think. Daffodils and fluffy bunny rabbits, Easter eggs, lovely weather, the family and friends all around, and of course, the whole big message of what Easter's all about. So, hiya, how are you all? I'm trying to put off the inevitable discussion, because this is a really weird time to be a Doctor Who fan, isn't it, Who viewers? Isn't it? And not on top of that, it's an embarrassing time to be a Doctor Who fan, quite frankly, because as you would have seen by now, and as we've been looking at on our Instagram and our Facebook page, last night, Doctor Who Lux, episode 2 of the series 2 of this big famed reboot thing with RTD coming back to save the whole series, it got 1.58 overnight rating. I'm going to say that again. I still, having looked at it all morning and thought about it, I can't quite believe it. 1.58. It's shocking. I thought last week, after that nonsense, what was it called? The Robot Revolution. I thought that stunned me into silence. Last night's episode and this overnight rating has stunned me more into silence. Do you know what I'm saying? And what the hell, everybody, was the episode about? And what was this? What was that? Now, we knew this was coming because we'd seen it on our Good Friday show on Headlines. And this is one of those sort of leaks and fan rumors that got out. And it's one of these things that I turn my nose up at, thinking they wouldn't be that stupid. Well, they were, weren't they? I mean, good. What is he doing? What is the one who rules doing? Honest to God, I just can't believe this. Hello, everybody. It's good to see you. I'm going to see you in the chat, really. Come and cheer me up, everyone. Come and join me. Oh, look at you all. Hello. It's good to see you. Truth is up there. Hello to you. You were in the queue, weren't you, earlier? So happy time to say. Because Truth is up there said to me right at the beginning of the show, hello, I'm here early because I cannot wait to see JT's shows tonight, which will probably have more viewers than Doctor Who. I would love that. Can you imagine? Isn't it bizarre that some YouTubers do get more than Doctor Who Lux got on the overnight last night? And listen, I'm going to say this right at the top of the show now. If you're going to come into the chat and start saying to me, nobody watches television anymore and the overnights don't matter, don't bother, because you're wrong. And I've had this on social media today. I've had this on social media for a while. But if you bother going to look at our headline shows with Bedweer, where Bedweer comes to do the rating analysis, you will know that the overnights do matter because they go towards the consolidated result. And also, the industry still use the overnights as an indicator. So when they get massive big shows like Mr. Bates versus the Post Office, Unforgotten, I can't remember any more of the big ones. Oh, and the Christmas ones on the BBC, Wallace and Gromit, and what was it, Gavin and Stacey, and all this sort of stuff. I know that was Christmas Day, but it's still the other. They celebrate it and they go, oh, look at this, don't they? So the overnights do matter to the industry. That's why it's reported. Somebody somewhere by now surely has to be looking at this. Surely they have to be asking questions today, or because it's Easter Day, maybe even tomorrow or Tuesday. Hello, Pete Harrington. 1.58 million. Don't make me laugh. See what you did there. And I like your little avatar as well. Happy Easter, Domgo. It's good to see you. Yes, happy Easter. What else we got here? Domgo also saying to me, 1.58 million more people watch the news. It's true. It's absolutely true. Hello, Legion of James. Oh, happy Easter. Whose viewers? He has risen and the ratings have fallen. That's a good one. Moriarty, I am Moriarty. Moriarty is saying to us, I like the episode. I thought it was as good as the best of last season, which was Dot and Bubble, but the viewing figures speak for themselves. Yeah, thank you to everybody that's got in touch with me today. Obviously, this is your warm-up show for the big review show coming up at 8 o'clock, where we're going to be looking at Lux as at the review of Lux. So come and join us for that one at 8 o'clock on this channel. thank you for everybody that's got in touch with me saying that they enjoyed the last one and it seemed to be a bit more of an improvement. Well, to be quite honest, you've got not much to compare it to because everything else has been awful. But for me, I found this boring because this was just the devil's cord with the furniture removed and put round a bit, and then an extra bit added where he climbs out of the television and meets people like us, which I found ridiculous and stupid. I don't like this fourth wall. Somebody was saying to me earlier today on the socials, it's going to be explained at the end of the series. Be lucky to get through to the end of the series at this rate. I'm falling asleep with utter boredom because I can't recognize Doctor Who. I don't even see the Doctor in it. So I'm just like, oh God, what is it? What am I watching? What am I putting myself through? Some sort of nonsensical thing. Yes, somebody even said to me today, so who emailed me early on from the chat to say, are you going to be in therapy by Monday? Probably. Probably everybody. What have we got here? Truth is up there. I've avoided the last 2 episodes. Well, good for you. What excuse gymnastics will they come up for an almost 25% drop in figures 1 week? Yeah, I mean, this is shocking. In 1 week, it lost 500,000 viewers. 500,000. Isn't that awful? Hello, Jane. Happy Easter. George is saying the best of his episodes. Craig Dunlop, hello to you. Happy Easter. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Matt, I know what you're saying. My hay fever is certainly worth the low views for looks. Yeah, I managed to get out to do some gardening today. My hay fever just went off, bang, because it was so nice. It was so warm. And people were cutting grass and everything around. So I know what you're going through. Bundy 4077, hello, babes. Knock it off. What the language on this incarnation as well. Why has RTD made him so unlikable? The language itself is just not very worthy of a Time Lord of the Doctor, is it? It really isn't. Medlin Funk, happy Easter, JT. Well, happy Easter to you, Medlin Funk. Have I missed much? No, we've only just started, and I'm doing the usual. I'm gobbing off. I wasn't happy about last night, but don't forget, we are going to be talking about it properly in Who's Views Reviews on this channel at 8 o'clock. Please come back and see us all for that. It's going to be a big show for you. What have we got? Benign Crinoid, nice to see you. I'm going to be emptying my bulging eggs later on. We'll move on. Domgo is saying, honey, I shrunk the ratings. Oh, yeah. BJF, good to see you with RIP, hashtag RIP Doctor Who, which was mentioned in the episode. It shows that even though they say they don't look at all the social media, someone is, and they're very aware. And X-Man 577, worst ratings in Doctor Who history. Yep. And the RTD will blame us for it. Yep. He doesn't live in the real world anymore. Yep. And he has the woke mind virus. Yep. Full points there, I think. X-Man 577. I totally agree with everything you've got there. Oh, goodness me. Hiya, Bill. Bill Larizor here with us as well. Good to see you. Yeah. Steve 401. Even JT, evening to you, mate. What the hell was it? I've no idea. I don't know. I really don't know. Hello, John. Hello, Right Charlie. Hello, John Roberts. Tyler Durden Smile, hello to you as well. Sheila B in the devotions, hello, lovely. Edwin Droog, nice to see you as well. I don't know what this was. Hello, Marine Boy 1966. Jane Smith saying, for the first 20 minutes, I was actually enjoying it and thinking it was starting to feel more like Doctor Who. And then the cartoon bit happened, and it was here we go with the scaredy cat Doctor. Yeah, I'm sure that it was all intentional as well, wasn't it? They've tried to make him far too human in my eyes, and far too all this babes nonsense and crying and all this rubbish. Honestly, Stephen Braddock, hi Steve, hi JT, happy Easter, Stephen. If I get much lower, you'll all win a pencil, as you'll all guess 0 viewers. Well, I reckon one of them's coming up if they don't broadcast this Eurovision one or Interstellar Contest one because of the footy ball and the Eurovision Song Contest itself. Don't know a secret. I'm probably going to say in the ratings game for that one, 0, and see what happens. Sheila B saying that I like the first part, but the fan bit was awful. Oh. Ayakara, I don't know. It just didn't do it for me. I thought it was terribly boring, really, really boring, and there was no magic to it. There was no flavor. There was nothing that actually said, "Come and watch this. Look, this is Doctor Who." And as I say, it was just the devil's chord for me, rewritten. There was even a scene, the same scene as last year with the music and everything, where they go and get changed. You know, it's just nonsense, isn't it? Turk Love, hello, not seen you before on the channel. Nice to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. The Cope Brigade are emphasising how even the highest rated show on the BBC yesterday got not much more than 2 million. So by that metric, Doctor Who is doing well according to them. Listen, one of the things we're talking about, and have been talking about all this week, of course, is Cope and the fact that they can't. So today, especially with this overnight rating, have you seen the amount of denial that's come out of this? It really is denial, and I'm very, very concerned about these people. I've mentioned it before because I think they are going to have a mental breakdown when the inevitable happens. I'm going to share with you a conversation I've had online on the Book of Face earlier today with this chap. I'll just call him Mark because I don't know him, and he might be special. Anyway, he said his original post was, considering most Doctor Who fans streamed it in the morning, these figures are shite, he says. You can't really go on audience figures. Last week's was supposedly bad, but by midweek it was the second most watched programme for the previous Saturday night, once they had collated streaming figures. Now, I've got back to him and said, oh God, this now routine and tired argument rears its head all the time. The figures you point to, i.e. iPlayer, will probably be diehard fans of this version watching it over and over and over and over and over. It doesn't necessarily mean the great British public are watching, and you cannot prove that they are. And then he's come back to me saying, yeah, but the thing is, if people don't like it, don't watch it. There are lots of people like that like it. Well, where are they then, Mark? Most complaining are men in their 30s and 40s. Oh, it's a family show, so it has to be entertaining all around. And as I've said, I'm loving it. My God, children love it. Don't watch, and don't let people enjoy it. I've said, good Lord, 1.53 million tuned in, and you're still saying they're now tired. If you don't like it, don't watch it. Let's look at it again. Sorry, 1.58 million. What does that tell you? And it's not a hit with children, or the majority of children, as a recent report made clear. Are you now going to stop repeating the lies and propaganda from RTD? Please get a grip. I am concerned about your health. Oh my God, they give me so much entertainment, but they're bloody hard work, aren't they? They are really hard work. Hello, Bedweir. Bedweir's with me as well. And thanks to Garbage for being with me too. Didn't watch the episode, but hate what I've seen happened in it. You didn't watch it. You're not missing anything at all, are you? Hello, John Cartwright. No. Harley JT, my review. Honey, honey, babe, babe, off the cliff. And adoring praise. Happy Easter, chat and JT. Happy Easter to you as well. I fell asleep twice, and there were so many moments. Yeah, honestly, there really wasn't there? Hello, Sean Oliver. Long time no see. Hope everyone is having a happy Easter. I thought it was shite myself. Yeah. I don't know what it was even trying to be, Sean. How's work? Are you okay? Are you at work now? Jordan C. Hello from Belfast. Oh, hello, Jordan C. I'm going to try and get over to Belfast at some point in the summer. I want to go to the Titanic Museum. Been meaning to do it for ages. I liked Lux. It was a missed opportunity for an even better story. You know what, Jordan? I've been saying this for some time now. I think about a year. What's he doing? The big chief himself, you know, don't drop the T, Davis. What is he doing? Why is he pushing so many ideas into one 46-minute episode, and he's not getting it right? He's missing the mark continually. What if he only had the 2 ideas? You know, it's as though he's trying to do too much, and it's just rush. Oh, it doesn't get me. It doesn't work for me anymore. Hello, Nate Channel. Don't make me laugh. More like, don't make me watch any more episodes. I know we've got several to come still, haven't we? Hello, Rose Kirby. Nice to see you. She saying to me, I only watched the reviews. I thought it was great. Reminds me, don't make me laugh. I thought, don't make me giggle. Yeah. Oh, gosh. Lots of you in the chat saying this. Of course, as I say, we are coming back to talk about this with the Whotastic panel at 8 o'clock. So come and chat. We've got bigger stories for that one as well, because I'm still stunned. Honestly, I really am. The X-Man 577, the woke mind virus destroys all common sense. You're quite right. And of course, here in the UK this week has been a magnificent week for truth and common sense. Absolutely magnificent. And I still, as I said in headlines in the week, guys, I still cannot believe that an actual truth, that actual reality, and an actual fact had to go to the Supreme Court to be clarified. because of what's been going on over the last 7, 8 years, something like that, and ideological nonsense from a group of very misinformed, bending the knee virtue signalers. I am, of course, talking about what is a woman. Now, any sane, normal person will be able to say that a woman is an adult human female. Everybody knows that. But yes, it had to go to the Supreme Court here this week. And I'll just show you this, because this is what the Supreme Court said. The ruling was, the unanimous decision of this court is that the terms woman and sex in the Equality Act 2010 refer to a biological woman and biological sex, as read by Lord Hodge of the Supreme Court. Now that's common sense, right? That is truth. A woman is a woman and a man is a man. If you've got a vagina, you're a woman. If you've got a penis, you're a man. Why is it suddenly, everybody, in the last 7, 8, 9 years, people, a minority of people, loudmouth idiot people, by the way, have managed to confuse everybody about this? I blame these stupid gender studies classes going on in universities and colleges around the world. If I was in the government, I'd have them banned and put the money to something useful, like electronics, or how to build a wall, or how to decorate, or how to plaster, and teach kids trades, because we need trades and we're always going to need trades, and they're dying out because they're all being told, oh, new technology is coming. Well, show me a new technology that's going to paper your wall for you, or do some plastering, or do your wiring when you buy a new house. It's not going to happen. We need people doing it. And because there's a lack of them, and because these young people are coming in drips and drabs, they're going to charge a fortune for it, because it's going to be a skill as well. And yet we've got these layabouts in universities and colleges being preached to by layabout extreme left-wing activists who call themselves teachers and professors and lecturers. They shouldn't be allowed in either. If I was in charge, they'd all be fired. And not in education at all. But they're all going on this. How can you have gender studies about two genders? How can you get a degree in that? I mean, it just never has made sense to me. But here we go. That was the Supreme Court's ruling, and that was on Wednesday. And on Thursday, huge victory with the majority of the British papers covering this. We've got the Times there, Equality Policies and Chaos, as the court defines a woman. The Daily Telegraph, trans women are not women. The Guardian, it must have hurt them, I tell you. Legal definition of woman is based on biological sex. The Daily Mail, historic victory for women and for common sense. That's one of my favorite ones. But the big one in the middle, I really like that one. Victory, exclaimed the Daily Express, for common sense, for reality. As the Supreme Court judges rule, the legal definition of a woman is based on biological sex. There were a couple, though, who struggled more than the Guardian, actually, because look at this one from the Independent. Huge blow for trans rights as court says you are not women. And of course, the Metro, one of the wokest pieces of nonsense in the UK, trans women, not women. Sulking much, metro.co.uk? I bet you were. I bet you were. And my favourite journalist, of course, as you all know here on Whose Views, works for the Metro. I bet she wasn't very happy either. Good evening, Isaiah. How are you? Anyway, so that was that. It's common sense. It's fact. And quite rightly, women across the country were jubilant, and they were celebrating. And this was a great victory. I'm still, again, talking about being stunned. Cannot believe it had to go to a Supreme Court. How outrageous and stupid is that, because of these nonsensical people who have been pushing this. Stonewall, of course, the once famed LGBT charity, which is now TQ charity, it doesn't care about LGBT people at all, have said that the result was deeply concerning. Well, they would, wouldn't they? Because they're full of idiots. They're full of TQ non-binary people. What the hell's non-binary got to do with being transgender anyway? How can you be? I mean, you can't be non-binary anyway, can you? You just can't, because you're a human being. You can't be non-binary. Do you know, I first came across this I'm off. I came across this non-binary stuff in 2016 when I was having what I thought was a business meeting. And this young lady said to me, please don't refer to me as she. And I said, pardon? And she said, please don't refer to me as she. And I said, what am I supposed to refer to you as? And she said, I'm a them and a they. I said, no, you're not, because you're not plural. And then she tried to explain. She said, yes, but I don't feel like a woman. And that's why I use they, them. And I said, well, what do you mean you don't feel like a woman? And she said, well, I feel more like a male. And I said, right, okay. So you've got gender dysphoria then, is that correct? She said, no, because sometimes I don't feel like a man either. And I said, well, that's what gender dysphoria does for you. And she was only in a mid to mid 20s, maybe 24, 25, something like that. Anyway, I could tell we weren't going to agree about this sort of stuff. And she said, well, that's not how I identify. I don't identify as a woman and I don't identify as a man, although sometimes I feel more like a man. And I'm like, well, that's what gender dysphoria is. You can't be non-binary because you are a woman. You have a vagina. You should be proud of that because women laid down their lives for you. You should be proud of that and you should embrace this and get on with it. And she said, oh, no, 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 no. And when she said something else about identifying, I said, well, what do you identify as then? A chocolatier Eclair? And then that's when we really were going to get on because I just thought this is nonsense. And I told her to her face, I said, the world is not going to go with this. It's utter nonsense. And if you start dictating this, people like you are going to destroy society. Not far wrong, was I, really? But, you know, lots of deluded people in show business, though, of course. And as we pointed out, they didn't like this particular piece of common sense, did we? Including the latest Doctor Who companion, Verada Setu, who showed this the other day. This was from her Instagram. She forwarded this UK Supreme Court backs biological definition of woman post. And then she went on to say, what a sad, hateful bunch of humans. What a disgrace to this country. I am so sorry to my beautiful trans family. You are so, so loved. Now, this is where these people, I'm going to come to you in the chat in a minute. This is where these people are totally and utterly confused because they think for some reason trans rights are being demolished or taken apart. How deluded are they? How utterly stupid are they? Transgender people have the same rights as everybody else here in this country because we're a damn good country and it's called equality and everybody is treated the same, we hope. Some debate on that, but not with the trans community. But they should be because that's the law of the land. So nobody's rights is being affected. It is not a right, Verada, and any of you other loons out there, to enforce your opinion or your feeling on someone else. That is not a right. That's a dictatorship. It's not a right. And you have no right, people like Juno Dawson have no right to be enforcing people to say, you must address me as a woman. Well, you're not a woman. I've always said about this as well. I cannot believe that they can't see the homophobia in this because they're running down, they're not following the path. So if these idiots are saying, as they are, by the way, that a trans woman is a woman and a trans man is a man, like Stonewall suggested several years ago, same-sex attracted men and women should be including these people in their dating pools. That's heterosexuality. And therefore it's homophobia. To say, right, you should be dating this person. And I'm using the word dating because I'm being polite, but you know where we're going. You should be dating this person. No, we shouldn't, because it's not the same sex. So all these knee-bending, virtue-signaling people in entertainment and in business and on these charities and in the police and in NHS and all this lot, you're not thinking about this. You're not seeing it through. And all these organizations that are allegedly branding themselves as LGBT aren't LGB. They're LGBTQIAA, BBC ITV, Channel 4, and whatever blooming else they want to add to it at the moment. We also had Nicola Coughlan. Remember this one? She was absolutely disgusted, according to this from Breaking News, i.e. Nicola Coughlan disgusted by gender court ruling as she commits to a fundraiser. And I'm not going to mention the fundraiser she committed £10,000 to. I'm not going to publicise them because I've looked into them and I don't agree with what they do. So I'm not going to talk about them. But I can tell you somebody else that also put money into this. And thank God I didn't buy Scissor Sister tickets. I used to like the Scissor Sisters. Quite fun band, I thought. But the other day, they put out on Instagram from the Scissor Sisters, in light of the UK Supreme Court ruling on the legal definition of the term woman, which was in inverted commas, divs, we want to be clear. Scissor Sisters stand in full solidarity with our trans friends, family, and community. This decision is deeply upsetting, and we recognise the pain and fear it causes. What? We send our unwavering love and support to everyone affected. We're honoured to partner with the charity I'm not going to name, the same one that Goughlin went to, for our upcoming UK tour. A trans-led charity amplifying trans plus voices through advocacy, community initiatives, and essential services. They're celebrating 5 years of it with a donation drive that is live right now. Head to the, and no, we're not going to publicize that, and give what you can during this devastating moment for human rights. Utter lunacy. What a div. So glad I am not supporting the Scissor Sisters now. I'll never buy another one of their albums. I'll tell you. Stephen Braddock saying to me here, oh no, I used to like the Scissor Sisters. Bye CDs. Oh, I'll keep the CDs because I'm not going around burning books and CDs like some left-wing idiots have done with J.K. Rowling and all the Harry Potter books and the Strike books. I'm not going to do that. But I won't support them in the future. And I'm so glad I didn't get tickets for their blooming tour. It was the same when I went to see Steps a few years ago. Loved Steps for years. And what happened is that idiot... what happened was that H came out in a dress on one of the acts and started prancing around in a dress. And then he started lecturing about, isn't it fantastic that we can now do this? You bloody hypocrite. I was shouting at him. Where were you 25 years ago when we needed you, when some of us, myself included, were going out deliberately to prove a point in a dress and costumes like that? You know, when we were on the front lines of prides and stuff like that. Where were you? You were hiding over your blooming digs, weren't you, in Greenwich, for heaven's sake? I mean, come on. But anyway, I took all the merchandise back and got my £130 back. Should have seen the look on their faces when I went back with this bag saying, give me my money back, please. And the guy said, oh, why? What's wrong with it? I said, nothing's wrong with it, but I just don't like what he said. Money back. And he had to give me all my money back. I wasn't paying them. What else? Russell Fagan, thank you for doing the Lord's work. I don't think I could watch this garbage. And Juliana saying, looks like my Scissor Sisters CDs are going in the bin. Oh, it's a shame, really, because I've had my doubts about the Scissor Sisters and where they stand politically for a little while. But when they start gobbing off and tell me convincingly, I lose interest, like I have done with David Tennant. Don't want to support anything he does now. Not at all. Because I find them to be homophobic. And yet the Scissor Sisters, again, another one of these knee-bending things, they've all become part of this LGBTQI cult, haven't they, Julianne? They're not looking properly. It's all well and good supporting trans people, but they have rights already. And the rights come off the back of what LGBT people did. You know, there's also this other thing where they say if it wasn't for trans women, gay men and women wouldn't have rights. That's utter nonsense. That's absolutely nonsense. Our achievements are our own, thank you. We don't need anybody else. We gay men and women died for our rights. It was nothing to do with the trans. And they always go on about Marsha P. Johnson. Well, let me tell you right now, Marsha P. Johnson was a gay man in drag who wasn't even at the Stonewall riot of 1969, because according to Fred Sargent, who was there and thankfully is still with us, he was blocks down doing stuff he shouldn't have been doing. Gotta be careful what I say on this thing, haven't I? Mr. Brown Alliance, it's good to see you. Pain and fear, says Legion James. Trans people have the same rights as everyone else. They have just been told that they cannot violate or take away other people's rights. Well, you and I are going to agree on this, aren't you? Because that's what's happened. They've been pushing into women's spaces. They've been pushing into gay men's spaces, lesbian spaces, because they've been identifying as something they're not. And everybody's supporting this. This is what we need to do next in this country. We need to get rid of this awful self-ID nonsense. It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't think it's going to happen with the current government we've got in. I'm going to come to that in a minute. Let's see who else we've got. Shelley Ingalls with us. Hello, Shelley. Nice to see you. Jordan C. Hiya. Scissor Sisters haven't been relevant for about 13, 14 years, so not missing out on anything. Well, I was surprised, Jordan, when they announced they were going to do a tour. And then I thought it was the money dried up. You know what I mean? I haven't heard from them for years because they were massive about 13, 14 years ago, weren't they? Watkin. Hello, Watkin. Oh, H. I remember that time he was mistaken from that guy from Lost Prophets. Oh, dear. Not long now, says Domgo, and it will all be over and we'll never see RTD or Gatwa again. We can only have fingers crossed. Weren't the Scissor Sisters featured in Doctor Who years ago, said Sheila B in the Devotion? Yes. It was the end of Series 3 with Martha, wasn't it? Or was it? It was one of their tracks was in one of the Doctor Who's an RTD. Of course it was. I hear you say. Of course it was, but it was, wasn't it? You're right. I can't remember which one it was because I don't go back to watch. Where are they? I don't go back to watch these new ones. You know these. It's all the original one for me, Sheila. Really, if I want to watch a Doctor Who, I very rarely go back to the reboot version. And I think part of that is because what's happened. I did watch the Whittaker era, as you all know. Wasn't interested. Certainly won't support Chris Chibnall. And then the second version, this version now, I don't know what I'm watching, so it sort of puts me off because all roads lead to Whittaker and Gatwa. And what's this from Jason? Hello, Jason. Dear Scissor Sisters, you come from New York, which is a mess now, sadly. True. Sort yourselves out. Also, they're named from the female same-sex sexual activity of... Ooh, it's an irony. Right, okay. Yeah, oh, of course. Yeah, I forgot about that one. Hi, John Mason. How are you? Paul Rose. Hiya. I nearly went to see Scissor Sisters in Leeds just before they broke big. Glad I didn't now. I mean, my money would be going back after seeing that. Because I certainly wouldn't be spending a ticket to see the Scissor Sisters knowing it was going to some trans charity, which is doing stuff to young people that I don't agree with. And people are, you know, if you're an adult and you want to do that and you've gone through the psychiatric treatment and all the things that you're supposed to do, fine, up to you. Good luck to you. See you on the other side. Hope you're healthy. Stay healthy. But kids, no, not for me. I won't support that. No, leave the kids alone, I say. They might just be gay. We've seen an awful lot of children, young people rather, who have been transitioned by very eager adults. It turns out they're just gay. Now, again, for me, that's homophobia. Mudcrab. Speaking of David T, has anyone done a welfare check on him? Well, it was his birthday this weekend. Hope he choked on his cake. Oh, shouldn't realize that. Like, oh, dearie me. Oh, Tom goes saying 10 years from now, we'll look back and say, remember when Doctor Who went all weird and trans? Yeah, I mean, it is. What will happen is, unfortunately, this is now part of Doctor Who history. And yes, we will be talking about it for a long time to come because it's effectively all this gender ideology, all these alleged progressive politics is what's destroyed the show. Chibnall started, well, Moffat sort of started it, and Chibnall grasped it, and RTD's run with it, and they've killed it. And that's the issue now, isn't it? That is the issue. Oh, hello, George Seaton. Good to see you there. Nice to see you. And what was right, Charlie saying to me? No one is stopping them dressing up in women's clothes to stay out of real women's spaces. Listen, this is where they get confused with the history. I've been on the gay scene a long time, since the late 80s, and I've watched it rise and become fabulous, and I've watched it go down under this TQ nonsense. And I've watched these uninformed young people coming up who have been educated badly, who haven't a clue, who are completely arrogant and up their own arses, who are very judgmental and extremely far left and very nasty and bigoted. And they are what they preach. They'll tell you you're an otanist or a phobe, but it's actually them. And they are so deluded. Not all, but some of these youngsters on and massive queenie things, because they all watch that old crone's drag show and they mince around like they do. No wonder the whole world's gone mad, because that old crone's gone around the world with his stupid show preaching all this nonsense, to be quite frank. So anyway, you know, when it comes to that, transvestites were around, but the difference with the transvestites is they were heterosexual men who just happened to wear women's clothes one day a week or twice a week or whenever, and they would meet. And the only reason they were in gay bars here in the UK is because nobody else would have them. And we were quite open-minded and tolerant. And looking back, we should have just said, no, we don't want you either, because it's all led to this nonsense. You know, and transvestites are not transgender. Drag queens are not transgender. I know you can get some of them now, but they just need professional help. But it's usually a bloke in a frock. And a lot of the transvestites I met, there was one bar back in the day in Glasgow called Austin's. And the transvestites would be up there. And the rest of us would be over there. And it was mainly a male bar, a gay man's bar. We didn't get many women coming in. And all the transvestites were there. And we didn't really meet. So when you did meet one at the bar and you had a quick, polite chat, they would be blokes. living out some sort of fantasy and about to go home to the missus. You know, the world's gone crazy. That's what it's all about. You know, that's where they've got these things when they go, oh, hello, Jordan C. Again, I'm gay. I'm part of the LGBT community. This trans and non-binary ballocks has affected me. You go into a nightclub, for instance, and you can't take a pee without women chatting in the same toilet. Yeah, and this is where this same-sex ruling now is already having an effect now. This ruling from the Supreme Court, rather, Jordan. We're going to see this. Unfortunately, as I'm about to show you, an awful lot of them are rebelling and saying they're not going to, but they're bloody well going to have to. But Jordan, you'll know yourself. What else are you saying to me here? They made them mixed gender because of them. It isn't right. Maybe they'll go back to men and women only toilets. I think they're going to have to. I think they will have to. The other thing about this as well, as you'll understand, Jordan, is that there are certain spaces which are gay male only. Nobody in their right mind from the heterosexual community wants to go into that, and I'm including transgenders into that. And it's a male only space. And sometimes these guys walk around naked because it's a male only space. And well, basically it's free and easy, you know, and you can just relax basically in these gay male only spaces. Some of these leather clubs and stuff, gay men only. Why they're all coming out saying, oh, we support trans men? Because it makes the majority of men in there uncomfortable if there's a woman in there. And a trans man is a woman, you know? So we don't want them in the spaces. We're exactly the same as the women. And this is what this TQ cult don't understand. They just don't understand this. It's complete homophobia and complete nonsense. And as Jordan's saying to me here, they are taking men's spaces away, never mind women. Yes, but the women are the ones that fought back. There weren't enough gay men waking up. Gay men have started to wake up now, but it's very late in the day. And it's all around the world, Jordan, isn't it? And also a lot of them are frightened to speak up, Jordan, as you'll know. I mean, you know, I've had friends thrown off Canal Street in Manchester for not bending the knee to this nonsense. You know, we've not been allowed into alleged LGBT bars in Glasgow and London because they're TQ cult bars now, and you can't get in. I've had abuse this week, and I'll show you why in a second. Hello, Stephen L. Reese. I only really like the last two Scissor Sister albums. Yeah. Problem being is with me elsewhere saying, hi, Jordan C. Thankfully, there is next to zero LGBT places near me. I can totally avoid it. The problem is as well, you can't find a decent gay bar anymore either. You can't, because it's all TQ cult now with all that bloody idiotic progressive flag, which actually is a red warning for me to say, don't go anywhere near them. You know, don't go anywhere near that because you're not going to be welcomed. Don't go near Pride. It's going to be talking about them a little bit more in a second. Oh, yes, it was the sound of drums, Stephen. You're absolutely right. That was Series 3, wasn't it? Absolutely. Shelley Ingle, hello, lovely. Kyra is saying to you all in the chat, nah, people like RTD and GAT are harder to get rid of than calcium deposit in a toilet bowl. They linger. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping somebody now is going to have serious discussions about what to do with Doctor Who, because I know that BBC Studios are desperate to keep it going. I still think, guys, they've got a cracker there. I still think Doctor Who could be a smashing big hit again, as long as it's done properly by people who understand it. You know, it's got to be science fiction. It's got to be a Time Lord in his TARDIS, traveling through time and space, having fun, exciting, scary adventures about monsters with his companion, the Daleks, the Cybermen, the Sontarans, you know, the new monsters. It's got to be done in a serial format. I genuinely believe it can be done again, and it can be done properly. It's got to have proper actors in there, and it's got to get rid of all these bloody alleged progressive politics, hasn't it? Just tell us a bloody good story from sci-fi land. These idiots are in control of all science fiction now. And yes, I'm including Star Wars, and yes, I'm including Star Trek, and yes, I'm including everything else. They don't understand sci-fi. They just think this is what we're going to tell the audience, and it's so boring. It's so over now. The world has changed. I mean, it's been rejected. Get the hint. Get the hint. Jordan C. And this is nightclubs in Belfast when I go out. I don't want to take a pee with women near me. I feel very uncomfortable. And so you should. I am too. And that's what I'm saying. You know, these trans men who are women should not be in men's spaces, really. And that's opened up this whole thing now where they've been saying, oh, what we're going to do then? Are we going to open third spaces? Well, why not? Why not trans people in there if you want to? But otherwise, why not use your original gender, your proper gender? So a trans man, women's, trans woman. I mean, how have we got to this point anyway? What were they doing for years? Probably not going out, maybe. I don't know. But you don't use the women's and you don't use the men. The bigger picture is those of us will be uncomfortable. Women have been for some time, and now they've been out there, aren't they? And it's been confirmed now. A trans woman isn't a woman, a trans man isn't a man. RTD must be watching these ratings through his fingers, says Domgo. And PTA, hello PTA, good to see you. Hello JT, sorry I'm late. Lux was an absolute piece of crap. Lots more coming up with Lux, of course, at 8 o'clock here on the channel, when we're all going to be looking at, we're going to be looking at it. Oh God. I want to show you some other stuff, please, before we can get there as well, about this issue. I mentioned the bars in Glasgow, all the cities, Brighton, of course, and Manchester and London, the big TQ captured cities in the UK. You cannot get into the RVT, not that a lot of sane gays would want to these days, unless you bend the knee to that progressive flag. I know it's up for sale. I wonder if it's been bought yet. You know, I wish I'd had the money. I would have bought it. Would have taken it back to where it was in the old days. Brighton, it's woke as hell. Woke as hell. Unbelievable. Manchester, I've told you what happened to friends of mine on Canal Street. Gay men, same-sex attracted men, asked to leave Canal Street, you know, because of all this. All of them, though, all of these, and a lot of these bars have jumped on this because of the dictate a few years ago from Stonewall that said, you know, it's now LGBTQI, blah, 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 blah. And I want to name and shame, if I may, because look at this from a Glasgow bar called Stereo. Stereo will always strive to be a safer space for trans and gender non-conforming people. What the hell does that mean? Look at the flags on their bar, by the way. Says it all to me, loons. We strongly oppose the recent ruling of the Supreme Court. Do you now? The attack on the rights and lives of one of the most marginalised communities in society is abhorrent, and trans misogyny will not be tolerated in our space. Our welfare security and charge hand staff is trained by Safe Only, a queer homophobic term, trans-led security and welfare company, and we encourage all the venues who claim to support marginalised communities to undergo the same training and be equipped with tools to create a safer and welcoming space for trans and queer homophobic slur artists and audiences. You idiots. Now, apparently this bar is run by a same-sex attracted man. Do the math and look at what you're actually saying there, because you're supporting homophobia. But then again, looking at your flags there on that bar, I wouldn't want to go anywhere near yours. I wouldn't even get my tetanus to come into your bar, quite frankly. How dare you, homophobic idiots? You have been brainwashed. If I'd known in the 80s and 90s what was going to happen to the community I was fighting for same-sex rights for, I don't think I would have bothered. I think I would have just got on with my own life rather than going out every other bloody weekend and in the week and doing charity things and shaking buckets and all this sort of stuff. Honest to goodness. There's another one here from the Doctor Who Society. In light of the ruling made by the UK Supreme Court on Wednesday, the 16th of the 4th, 2025, the Bristol Doctor Who Society would like to reaffirm its solidarity with the trans plus community, both within the university and Bristol and beyond. As a society, we wholeheartedly support the right to self-identification and will uphold this right by any means necessary. That's very interesting, isn't it? Uphold this by any means necessary? Maybe the police should be informed about you lot then. Trans women are women. Trans men are men. Trans people are welcome here. Furthermore, we will continue to advocate for the protection of non-binary and intersex identities. They're obsessed, these idiots. The Bristol Doctor Who Society recognises that gender and sex are non-binary constructs and would like to clarify that these identities will remain acknowledged within all discussions of gender and self-identification. We encourage other student societies to take similar action. Stand up to transphobia. Stand up to misogyny, you bloody hypocrites. Do not become complicit in the violence waged against our trans siblings. These are students. These are students. Students these days close down anything that doesn't tally with their point of view. They won't debate, they won't discuss. And that was the whole point when I was a youngster going to university and colleges, to learn to disagree and agree to disagree and to debate so that you were ready to go into the modern day world. What have they done to the education system in the United Kingdom? There are so many problems, everybody. It frightens me. Honestly, it really does. David B is saying to us, I can't keep abreast of reality in Bristol. Obviously, there isn't any. And it's a shame because Bristol's lovely. Duncan, the Funky Evans, remind me not to go to Bristol in the near future. It's a shame, isn't it? Because it's Bristol's lovely. Problem being, saying siblings, I'm not related to these ratbags, get in the bin. Yeah, exactly. And I just have to point out to it again, hashtag LGB without the TQ. It's so important. These people do not speak for a lot of LGBT people. And it's growing in numbers every day as more and more same-sex attracted men and women wake up to the reality around them and how it's infringing on our own spaces and on our own rights. Mudcrab is saying this is the problem with volunteer groups. The only people who want to run them are the control freaks, and they end up ignoring what the rank and file actually think and want. You could actually say that about Doctor Who as well, couldn't you, Mudcrab? What's going on there? Hello to David Elston, ITFC. Welcome to Who's Views. Not seen you before. Dear, oh dear, it makes you want to throw up. Yeah. And joining us here is Space VYX, LGB. I still say LGBTQ. Well, you're not going to get that from me. LGB without the TQ all the way, because the TQ cult is a homophobic, misogynistic organization. Legion of James. One question this whole woke virus neglects to ask is why all of a sudden has a very tiny minority of people with genuine gender dysphoria suddenly increased? It's concealing something more deep-rooted. Yes, I agree with that. What's gone on? Why is that? How many people are making millions out of this? How many people are making money? Where's it going? What's going on? Yes, I agree with you. There's something going on there. Because the first thing that young lady I was telling you about when I met her in 2016, and then when I saw the Stonewall thing coming out, which was rewriting what it means to be same-sex attracted, so that included transgenders in our attraction, which has then gone out to all the businesses that were in the Stonewall employers program, which was an awful lot, who were recognizing the rights of, well, I mean, that was a big thing in the 90s and the turn of the century, because it worked, you know, getting through from Stonewall's good work at that point when it was run by adults. And it was promoting what same-sex rights were. They should have folded then. As soon as they got same-sex marriage, that's when Stonewall should have folded. But oh no, they had to grasp to try and keep their blooming jobs, didn't they? And they came up with, oh, there's the trans issue. Let's do that. Hello, Sadeko. How are you? Happy Easter to you. Nice to see you. Madeline Funk is saying to us, look, the violence that I've seen is only coming from one side. Plenty of footage captured of it. Yeah, now what you're talking about there, my friends, is, of course, that yesterday, of course, a lot of activists got together in places like London, didn't they? And somewhere else I've forgotten. I can't remember where. Edinburgh, that's right. They got together. Utterly hateful. Did you see their banners? Look at this. The only good turf is bring back witch burning. I'm sure you, sir, are very happy with your little banner that you've put together there. Why are they all wearing masks? The majority of these people on these marches wear masks, so you can't tell who they are. It's as though they're ashamed to be there. You know, they've got these big sort of woolen masks on a nice hot day. Bloody idiots. Have you seen them? And they walk around with those sort of stupid things. But yes, now I know Forbidden Man was in London yesterday, and I think he's in London again today, because he messaged me last night. He mailed me last night, so thank you, Forbidden Man. And he said that he was there, and thousands of people had turned up in London for this march. And I was dismayed, in a sense, because there were thousands of uneducated idiots, again, like with those other marches going on, misinformed, bandwagon jumping, virtue signalling. I must look good, so I'm going to support this. Trans rights are not at issue here. Transgender rights, let's make it clear, because they've mucked everything into transvestites, transgender, transsexuals. Transgender rights are not at risk. All that's happened is the fact, the truth has been underlined. They are not. Trans women are not women. Trans men are not men. That's a fact. And what all these idiots are pushing is the ideology. And you can't, because it's not true. And when you've got trans men in women's sports stealing all the blooming gold medals, etc., because they are stronger, we know the differences between men and women. And if I hear the term trans lesbian, I'm going to throw up. I've heard it too many times. You cannot be a trans woman and be a lesbian because your sexuality hasn't changed. You were a heterosexual man. You were born a heterosexual man. You're still a heterosexual man. I think they're crazy, absolutely crazy. Somebody else that's going to go crazy or has gone crazy, I don't know if you're aware of this, but in the United Kingdom, there's this thing called United Kingdom Pride Organisers Network. Now, what this has done, now I've been to one of their very early meetings. What they do is they get people together from various prides from around the country and bring them together so that they can all link up and network and support each other in the millions of prides that seem to go on around the country now. So they've been going since around about 2014. And I've watched them with dismay become part of the TQ cult and forget about what pride was all about. And they've pushed the LGBT issue to one side, and it's all TQ, 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 as all prides now are, I think, across the world. Well, they issued a statement the other day, and they're not happy. Look at this. Today's UK Supreme Court ruling marks another moment that highlights the need to stand firmly with our trans siblings. While legal interpretations will be debated, one truth remains. Trans women are women, trans men are men. We call on communities, allies, and organisations to loudly and proudly affirm their support for the trans community. Pride was born from protests, and we will continue to resist any attempt to erase or exclude, said Dee Llewellyn, chair of the UK Pride Organisers Network Board of Trustees. What a joke you all are. The UK PON remains committed to ensuring every pride, big or small, uplifts the voices of all in the LGBTQ plus family. We will not be divided. We stand united in love, equality, and pride. You bloody idiots, you hypocrites. The community is already divided because of this nonsense, because you are supporting homophobic rhetoric. Get it into your tiny little skulls. And when you look at prides, especially in the UK now, I haven't been to one for years, and I will never go to one again because it's too full of idiots that think they're a dog or in a cuddly costume, which apparently are called furries, and all this, nothing to do with same-sex issues anymore. It's disgraceful, absolutely disgraceful. And this is what you get at prides as well. So this was the event in London yesterday, the rally with thousands of people turning up. Of course, they also defaced an awful lot of statues, public-owned statues. They defaced an awful lot of them and vandalized them. Women wouldn't do that. Just saying. Very concerned about what's going to happen, though, because our government is very, very quiet about it. And I mean the Westminster government, the national government from London, and, currently the Labour Party, who have been saying for years now that a woman could have a penis. And whenever asked the question, the Prime Minister, the now Prime Minister, what is a woman, would stumble. Did you see those interviews with him? They're all available on the Tube of Who. Couldn't answer the question because they're terrified of upsetting the activists. They're so busy trying to be inclusive that they can't put it down to fact. Well, this very day, Easter Day, Sunday, the 20th of April, have you seen this headline? On the cover of the Mail on Sunday today, ministers in WhatsApp plot to defy trans ruling. As the Supreme Court judgment piles pressure on Starmer to protect women-only spaces, leaked messages reveal revolt on the front bench. Look at this. Now, this is leaked from the WhatsApp group. Dame Angela Eagle, who insists that a woman can have a penis. Let's meet about this when we get back from Easter recess to decide the way forwards. The ruling is not as catastrophic as it seems, but the EHRC guidance might be there and already signs that some public bodies are overreacting. Chris Murray, I definitely agree. A meeting early next week would be good. Steve Race, I thought that the EHRC chair on today, saying the ruling meant trans women could not use single-sex female facilities or compete in women's sports, was pretty appalling this morning. Agreed, said Sir Chris Bryant, allegedly. This is what's in the paper today from the Mail on Sunday. This is our government, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. The government of the United Kingdom denying truth, denying reality. Jane Smee is asking me, why are they so terrified of upsetting such a small minority? No idea. David B is saying, well, we didn't know when we were well off with Liz Truss. Do you know, a mate of mine said that to me the other day. I actually blame the Conservative government, don't get me wrong, because this happened on their watch and they should have opened up their mouths straight away and nipped it in the bud back in the early days of this and said, no, this is nonsense, had a word with Stonewall, taking their public money, their funding money away from them, and got it sorted. So I blame the Tories for this, but the Labour's lot have jumped onto it. The Liberals are lost in this. They're pure tiki cult, like the Greens. At the moment, I'm politically homeless again, everybody. Absolutely shocking. BJF, thank you for your comment there. Frankie Stanager, oh God, Reform will use this in next month's elections. They certainly will, because that's politics. They're going to. Benign Crinoid Labour are not terrified of upsetting the elderly and the disabled, sadly. No, they're not, are they? No, they're not. Or white heterosexual men. Not upset about, they're not worried about upsetting them either. You might think that, right, Charlie, but I couldn't possibly comment. Rick Storm's got his popcorn out. Keep it out there, everybody. Don't forget, we're coming back at 8 with Who's Views Reviews. Mr. Brown Alliance is saying this is tiresome. It just grinds you down. These people need a personal tragedy to get things into perspective. Oof. Well, yeah. Sad that, yeah. Because their violence is problem being, Duncan Funky Evans saying to us, I knew that Labour was going to be trouble. We were warned, actually, by the likes of Kemi Badenoch. And actual political commentators tried to, when they could, when they were out of Purda, they were saying, you're going to, don't vote for this, basically. They were saying they're going to be trouble. They were right. People didn't listen. They didn't listen. They were so, got to get the Tories out, weren't they? Mark Greaves is saying, I feel like going into a coma until they go away. Paul Rose is saying, how is this even a talking point? These people make the rules. It's insane. I know. This is our government. And this is what has been put into the Mail on Sunday today. So it's there. Oh, let's have a look. There is breaking news, says Stephen Braddock. They are seeking to overturn the decision at the European Court of Human Rights next week. Bloody hell. These people are insane. These people are dangerous. They are absolutely intent on forcing us to acknowledge what they want us to do and police our speech. Forcing the masses to tell a lie. What sort of society do they want us in? They want us in some sort of dictatorial society. It's certainly not the British way, is it? Bobby D, 75, both the Timeless Children and hashtag RIP Doctor Who are canon now. That's a good point. Bring that up again at 8 o'clock. Enspiel, having watched the debacle between Biden and Harris, I knew the danger that Labour would pose. Yeah, because it's the that's where we're at now. If they had got back in America, they would be on a par with us. But Labour, just please, no, I'll never vote Labour ever again, ever. Yeah. Lots of you in the chat with me. Thank you very much for joining me for Live at 6 tonight. I really appreciate it. We are, of course, going to be coming back. Here's Forbidden Man. I've just got back in from Westminster. Hi, guys. Just got in from the riffraff at Westminster. Send me an email. Let me know how it was. We've just been talking about you, mate. And I don't know, Paul Rose. Why haven't we left the ECHR yet? We should have done, in my opinion. We should have done. It should have gone by now. It really is. And Kev Gresham, it's weird how Loose Women, the TV show aimed for women, never celebrated the result. In fact, not to mention, it mentioned it on the Thursday, Kev, but they actually criticized it. They criticized it. You can actually see it on some of the commentating shows. I'd never watched that drivel, but the panel on that show criticized the outcome, annoying a hell of a lot of people. Once the ECHR supported blasphemy laws, they're done, said Two Onions. Don't get me started on that one, my friend. That is frightening as well. That's not the British way. It's not the British way. And there's so much that's wrong right now with this country. I do fear for it, because it's not our Britain anymore, is it? It's gone far too left and far too linear, far too liberal. Anyway, that's enough from me for tonight. Thank you so much for joining me and listening to my rant here at Live at 6. I was going to read out some of your emails, but I got carried away. I will do it again. Join me again in an hour's time here on the channel for, of course, the big review, your big review. Come and join me with all your views and the Whotastic Panel's views. We're going to be talking about last night's Doctor Who looks. And yes, we're going to be looking at that awful overnight rating, a hugely embarrassing rating of 1.58 overnight. I'm sure Ian especially has got a lot to say about. So Dr. Ian, can you imagine? I'm sure he's got a lot to say about that. So come and join us. See you in an hour. Don't go too far. Get yourself a cuppa. See you later.